Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name is Elena.
And I'm Bjorn.
And we're Viking Age reenactors and living historians here to talk with you about your favorite Viking shows.
So if you haven't noticed yet, the setup is different. It's because we're doing live reactions to Vinland Saga on our Twitch channel, which you can find in the description. Join us Tuesday nights to actually see like a whole live reaction, get to chat with us and everybody else and interact and ask questions and all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. In the meantime, this is Vinland Saga episode 2. So the main thing here is the Jomsvikings. Jomsvikings. So the Jomsvikings, we believe, were basically like a kind of like Viking mercenaries, based out of northern Poland and the Baltics. But the thing about the Jomsvikings is that so there's one saga, it's called the Jomsvikings Saga, which is where we get pretty much all the information from it. I haven't read it myself yet, and that is in part because it's been largely kind of cast aside as being a fake saga, like a not historically based, accurate, legitimate saga, more of like a fanciful thing.
There are a few of those.
Yeah, there's definitely, it's not the only one. There's a fair amount of sagas that are just like, hey, we're pretty sure this is just fanciful literature, basically. And the Jomsvikings Saga is one of them, which is why I've been lazy about getting around to reading it. It's pretty short, but it's pretty cool. It's where we get the story about the kid with the beautiful hair who didn't want it to get cut off with his beheading, so he asked the person to hold his hair up while he got beheaded, and then last minute like yanked his head back and cut off the dude's hands. So yeah, so the Jomsvikings, we don't really know if they were actually real or not. It's certainly possible. Mercenary Vikings, yeah, sure, absolutely. I feel like a lot of Vikings were mercenaries just in general, because even Egil fought for the Christian king in England, basically as a mercenary, as a sellsword. So like the concept of it isn't inaccurate or anything like that, but just the whole notion of Jomsborg as like an organized, whatever. We just don't know how legitimate it is. There's also a huge reenactment group called Jomsvikings, which kind of they basically take the fake saga and run with it. I'm just Josh and I'm having fun. But no, the group was established, and I don't know if it's based out of Poland, but I know like that's the main activity, because they have the whole Volin reenactment event that happens every year, which is basically like a reenactment mecca. Essentially, is like the closest thing I can describe to it. And there's a few others, but Volin is like one of the most famous and well-known ones. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole reenactment society based on the Jomsvikings and the Jomsborg, which is pretty cool. There is a historical Hrafna-Flóki, which is Raven-Flóki, who is attributed to discovering Iceland for the first time, which is pretty cool. I don't think this character has anything to do with that.
Yeah, I don't think so. At first I was just like, oh, Floki came back to Iceland and this is where he's going to live out the rest of his life, as Floki did, but nope. I don't think it's the same character.
I definitely don't think so either.
That said, the historical Floki is known as Raven Floki because he actually took, I think, 2 or 3 ravens on his trip? I think it was 3. He would let a raven out of its cage to check and see if he was near land, basically. And that's how he founded Iceland in the first place.
Yeah.
He let a raven fly and didn't come back, so he just followed the course of where the raven went.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you're out in the middle of the sea and you don't know where anything is, birds are great, because birds mean that they have to land somewhere. So having a raven there, if he lets it go, if it comes back, it means that it flew around and didn't see anything else, so it came back to the boat because it's the only thing it could land on without getting exhausted and falling into the sea and drowning. And if it didn't come back, it meant that there was land somewhere nearby.
So just follow where it went.
So tops, follow where it went, or just keep sailing if you can't see where it's going. And they actually used that in Viking Season 1 when they first discovered England. They had ravens with them and would let it out, and they were saying the same thing, which is pretty cool.
I think they also used it in Season 5 when Floki went out to Iceland as well.
So Floki's going around and collecting all of like the outlying Jomsborg to gather in and fight for Sven against the English. His wife, I do not believe, was killed bathing in England. Gunhild, I don't think that ever happened, but that attack is actually a historically referenced thing to happen in I want to say Northumbria. I don't know exactly because it's such a small little thing. But there's definitely documentation of Vikings in Danelaw who were bathing, and the native Englishmen actually took advantage of their bathing day on Saturday and like massacred them and like killed a whole bunch of them, and it was really bad for the Norse, which is again a really cool thing to see in this anime. It's like it's so much more detailed than history's Vikings already.
A couple of these are like super small details that I kind of want to mention.
It's all good.
Before we wrap up our discussion on this. In any Viking show that you watch, you're essentially going to see people hanging out and drinking from horns. That wasn't necessarily what we believe to be true. Again, this is one of those things that we can't definitively prove that they did or didn't do, but from what we understand, they did have mugs, either made from ceramics or wood, or what have you.
Or even stone, like soapstone.
Yeah,
was
exactly.
often carved into like cookware and all kinds of things too, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility.
And hey, you can set those down.
Yeah, right?
Instead of just like holding them in your
Unlike
hand the
a
entire
horn.
time. Yeah, generally when people start Viking age reenacting, and I did this too, so
Same.
you know, totally, yeah, we all did this. You end up with a thing on your belt that holds your horn, and you walk around and you think you look like, you know,
Ragnar,
the greatest Viking ever, and then you realize that that's not historically accurate at all.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. But they did use drinking horns, and what we think they used drinking horns for, and they would have been larger drinking horns, not just the little teeny personal ones, and they would have used those during like bloats or ceremonies or big feasts.
big celebrations.
Yeah, feast celebrations. There would be, during like big feasts when people would be sat around tables talking to each other, a man and a woman could share a single drinking horn amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And there would be, you know, people coming by to just like refill them and everything like that.
Absolutely. People would get paired up. So like you'd kind of like sit with your partner, with your person for the night, kind of just trying to match people up and be like, oh, you should, this guy is, he's a great poet. Don't look at his face, but listen to his words though. In the case of Egil, getting paired up with people. But yeah, absolutely. It was something that was used more for like formal events or like larger gatherings, where you would share kind of like a communal horn either with your partner who was sat across from you or with the whole like room. Because at blows and festivals and stuff, there was often the idea of making boasts and toasts and things, and you would actually go up and take the communal horn and like make your speech or whatever with it, and then drink, and it would get passed around the room, essentially just bouncing from person to person.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea of, you know, the small like little personal horns that people would have, we don't believe that occurred a ton.
Probably not.
Yeah, and like even just if you think about it for just like even a hot second, to clean out a horn, to prepare it, to cure it, to, you know, clean it, to take care of it and everything like that would have taken a long time anyways.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I don't know if you've ever seen the process.
No one's got time for that.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time for that.
And then past birthday horns. Whenever they show one of those houses laid in brick, that's obviously not accurate. They wouldn't have had bricks.
Nope.
Unless it was
or like they didn't
maybe
use mortar
clay.
for. Yeah, so like the houses would be built with like they were like timber framed houses, or often like what is it called, like Morden, I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically like branches and sticks and stuff kind of like woven and interlaced together to like make this kind of like intercrossing pattern, and then it would be like lumped up with like clay and turf and horse manure and straw and all kinds of stuff to make this big thick barrier. And then other times that we'll see in Iceland, not in Iceland, other times that we see in Greenland is they're actually turf houses. So instead of using like timber and stuff, because there wasn't a whole lot of timber in Greenland at all, ever, they would actually cut huge swaths of turf specifically, and they were like 2 meters thick walls that they'd use and build to form their houses that way. So it's kind of just whatever they really had on hand. But as far as we know, they didn't really use like mortar and stone for any kind of like foundational pieces and stuff, as far as we know, in their home building.
Yeah, and there was no reason for them to like try to make that material into look like, you know, brick or anything like that. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I can see from like an art perspective why they would try to at least distinguish it from all the snow around it.
Yeah, just trying to vary up the textures and things.
Because when you get inside, they do show wood walls and everything like that, and you know, that's a little bit more believable. But then even during one of the scenes, I noticed the wall on the interior was also shown as brick, and that's also...
like in that storage room, it was all brick. But then on the inside, it was all lined with wood and stuff, which is, I don't know why they'd go to that extent to...
I'm not sure.
To vary it. I don't know either.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of our future videos. And we'll see you in the next one.